Good morning, guys. It is our final morning waking up here on Kotor Bay. That is Piras right there. If you want to see all about it, you can watch the previous video. Up next, we are heading to Cetinje. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. We are going to Lovcén National Park, which is where the country gets its name from, the Black Mountain. And we are going to some good caves. We are staying at a beautiful campsite. So I'm very excited for this. Cetinje is also the previous capital, so there's a lot to see there as well. So yeah, come along. From Kotor Bay, we drove into the mountains, treating us to amazing views over the bay from above. As we drove up the Serpentine to Montenegro's highest peaks, we could even see the Mediterranean and Tivat before getting so high that we ended up with our heads in the clouds. We are arriving to the national park. We just had to pay €3 per person to enter the national park, but we are driving through the clouds and I'm really hoping that our end destination is just above the clouds. Mount Lovcén gave Montenegro the name Black Mountain because in the mist it looked very dark by the dense evergreen forest. The highest peaks of the national park are Stirovnik at 1,750 meters tall. The cable car and the alpine roller coaster start nearby here, and Jezerski, which is about 100 meters lower, but this is the one with the mausoleum of the Prince Bishop and most important national poet Niegos. You can find it here at the top. By the end, on our way here, we were driving through the snow. At the summit, you can enjoy one of the best views of the country overlooking the Bay of Kotor from high above. We could even see Cetinje, where we were going next, and the Skadar lake, which we would visit a few days later. We didn't end up paying to visit the mausoleum, but just enjoyed the views. And there are a lot of hiking trails and cycling trails that you can enjoy as well. You can even go skiing here in the winter time. We then drove back down to the old capital of the country, Cetinje. The city was a lot smaller than I expected, but Montenegro has only 633,000 inhabitants, which is not much at all. We grabbed some lunch at Restobar Dvor before exploring around the town. We passed by the previous German and Bulgarian embassies, the Museum of King Nicola, and then we paid a visit to the incredibly beautiful monastery. Next to the monastery, you can find the old palace of Niegos, nicknamed the Billiards. We then strolled past the National Museum of Montenegro, the statue of Princess Xenia, Djukanovic House and Vukatovic House, the old embassy of France, the Ministry of Culture of Montenegro, and the Money Museum, all on our way back to the car from where we drove to our accommodation for the next few nights. After going to the Montenegro, the Black Mountain, we have now arrived at Camp Oaza, where we are spending the night in a bungalow. Well, we are spending 3 nights here actually. We will be going to the Lipa Cave, and also on the second day we really hope to go to Skadar Lake. Hopefully the weather will be better than is currently predicted, but we'll see. We'll give it our best shot anyways. Camp Oaza hadn't fully opened up yet, so we were the only ones staying here for the first night. We stayed at the only bungalow that they have overlooking the valley and Lake Skadar in the distance. It was super peaceful and a great location. It is a bit of a rainy day today, which is why we are walking to the start of the cave, the Lipa Cave. Since that's inside, we don't have to worry about the weather. And tomorrow we would love to do a boat tour on the lake, which we can already see from here, and we can even see the Albanian mountains that we are going after as well, which is pretty cool. I had my breakfast whilst waiting to visit the Lipa Cave, one of the largest caves in Montenegro. We paid €15.90 per person and went along on the first tour of the day. The little train brought us to the entrance of the cave, from where our funny guide started the tour. That was it. We are back from the cave. Unfortunately, I couldn't film in there, but I did take some pictures, Some of them were live pictures. And then after the visit, the train brought us back, and we were very lucky because the owner of the campsite actually just ran into us as we started walking back in the rain. And we got to catch a ride with her and the little dog. So right now there's only 3 visits every single day. From May onwards, it should be more than 3. I'll insert them right here. But having it only be guided tours, it means that also people who aren't necessarily interested in what they are saying come on these tours, which just made it so annoying, and people just weren't listening, were constantly talking, making it more difficult to understand for the people who were interested. It is the Easter holiday, so there were a lot of kids as well, so that definitely made it one of my least favorite cave visits, which doesn't mean the cave was bad. Not at all. If you can, come back for it's only a little bit more expensive, but there is a special visit where you rappel into the cave and then you go to the special lake. There's a lake that has shrimp that are millions and millions and millions of years old that you can only find here in this cave, which is really cool. And this, I think it's a 41 euro tour, includes all of that, which we believe would be a much better experience. But they don't do it very often, so you really have to kind of plan your trip around whenever it happens, or just be really flexible with when you are visiting the cave. Since we did the earliest tour of the caves, it is now lunchtime, which means it is budek o'clock. I think we've lost count of how many budeks we've had so far, but they are really cheap and just a good affordable lunch option. We had our favorite budek in Montenegro at Bakery Kotsulja. So good that my boyfriend even got a second one. And then we will be having a traditional homemade barbecue here at the camping. They told us that the restaurant wouldn't be open for another week because we are that early in the season, but they sent us a message to ask if we wanted breakfast or dinner. So yeah, very much looking forward to a lovely barbecue dinner tonight. We spent 10 euros plus 2.50 euros per person for an incredible spread of food and a local beer and wine. The next morning we took the scenic route along the lake with a first stop at Pavlova Strana viewpoint. The first stop was right away one of my favorite ones. It was simply stunning. We got stuck in traffic as we drove onto Rijeka Černorevica. We have arrived at a town of which the name I will not pronounce, but here they have some really old bridges, and nearby should be some waterfalls and a cave. So let's see if we can go and explore those, and let's have a look at the beautiful bridges on the river. The sheep are catching up with us, guys. Gotta get out of here. We continued driving deeper into the town from where boats leave on trips on the lake. It's these boats that we saw earlier going through the river bends. We decided to skip the waterfall and cave here because of the rain and headed to the better accessible Bosiljani waterfall. We parked on the main road and walked down for about 1 kilometer where we reached this beautiful waterfall. We drove down to Virpasar, the main Montenegrin town on the lake, which is located on the border with Albania, and 2/3 of the lake are actually Montenegrin. We almost ran into a cow while watching a dog play with the goats here.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That was...
We parked just outside the town and grabbed some lunch before going on a 15 euro per person boat tour. Skadar is the biggest sweetwater lake in the Balkans and an important resting place for birds migrating from Northern Europe to Africa, making it the largest bird reserve in Europe. It is particularly important as the last breeding area of the endangered Dalmatian pelican and the pygmy cormorant. We enjoyed the views we had from the mountains all day, a lot more than the ones from the boats. We were a bit underwhelmed, but then again, the lilies would only come out about a month later. The shortest road back to Lipa took us for an interesting bumpy ride through towns and potholes, another prime example of the Montenegro roads. In the evening we had a local dinner for only 15 euros at one of the best restaurants in Cetinje. Delicious. Despite the rain, we actually did get to see a waterfall. We saw the beautiful little town where the water was so clear, and then eventually we did go on the boat ride, but it wasn't the best time of the year to do it because there's no lilies unless it's the end of May, and the pelicans, and the best time for bird watching is actually the very first boats going at 6 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, it was not really as expected, but still we had a good day. Despite the rain, we didn't really let it stop us. And today we are off to Albania and the sun is shining, so let's hope that at least we'll have one good afternoon in Albania before it starts raining again. But that is for the next video, because this is the end of our Montenegro coastal line visit, and up next I'll be making another video for Albania. So see you in the next video. Bye!